Welcome back to the channel. I'm Preston, back here at the compound. But as you can see behind me, what used to be a 2021 Jeep Rubicon 392 is replaced by the M1102 trailer. No, not really. It's not replaced, but it is parking in its spot. But there is something, a new vehicle here that won't fit in this spot exactly because it's a little bit big. And yes, the 392, Rubicon 392 that I had, the Hydro Blue Extreme Recon with the AEV 2.5 inch heavy duty lift is sadly gone. It's not something I thought would happen, or at least happen this quickly. Although some people probably beg to differ given my history of buying, selling, trading cars. But I really did love that 392. I really felt that that was the epitome of what any vehicle I would own would be. Had so much of what I like and enjoy in a vehicle. It fit the lifestyle I want to live. It just lacked in a couple of areas, and it mostly had to do with space and most of all passenger comfort. And as if you've seen any of the videos here in the past year or even over that, a lot of my trips are solo. Some of that's by design. I do like to take solo camping and overlanding trips, and sometimes the way our family schedule is, it's just not feasible to have the wife and girls come along. Although, and I do think they would like to go on a lot of the trips I do, but a lot of times they wouldn't. A lot of times I'm going into pretty remote areas and doing a lot of stuff they wouldn't be interested in. But you know, with a lot of thinking, with a lot of thought, and you know, after actually being influenced by some other YouTubers I've seen, I decided to get a Ram Power Wagon, which if you've seen the channel before, you know is no stranger to the channel. As I've owned two of these in the past, two Power Wagons, not two of these specific ones, but I've owned, this is a 2022 Ram Power Wagon. It has I think it's the level 2 package. Not completely sure. It's not base. It's not, it's obviously not a tradesman, but I have owned a tradesman in the past, a 2014 tradesman Power Wagon, and most recently, just over 2 years ago, I owned a 2020 Ram Power Wagon. That was a level 2, I believe. But yeah, this is the 2020 Ram Power Wagon. It's in the Delmonico red paint. And left over from the Jeep are the 37 BF Goodrich KM3s that I had the dealer swap over. And as you can see here, I learned from last time, and I have already added the Ram rock rails that are available for the 2500s and that came on the 75th anniversary Power Wagons. If you go back about 2 years ago, I took my 2020 white Ram Power Wagon off-roading. It was on the same trip where I was picking up the rock rails for it, and I thought, oh, it'll be fine. I'll just go some mild off-roading, and one little mistake on one section of trail caused some body damage, sheet metal damage to the driver's side door and rocker panel. And I just could not get over for some reason. The situation of it, the irony of it, the fact that, well, and here we have the GMC Yukon 2021. It's not going anywhere. But yeah, this is pretty much the stable here at the Kessinger compound. That's not the reason I got rid of that, but it sure didn't help. So yeah, got that already protected and get that out of the way. I know that people say that these probably aren't the best protection for the body that you can get, but I think it's better than having nothing right there. Considering that they, mount up to the pinch weld. They mount up to the pinch weld, but they also mount to the back side of kind of the subframe, or not really subframe, but the way the body overhangs over the frame. And it's actually pretty solid the way it's mounted there. I mean, I've had all my body weight on there, jumping up and down, and it's rock solid. I mean, if it does get damaged, the only thing that would probably hinder is that it doesn't stick out far enough. It kind of has a little lip, and it acts as a little bit of a step. My wife and girls are actually thankful for that, because it is sitting high, especially on the 37-inch tires. When they put those 37s or replaced the factory 33s, it felt like I had just lifted the Jeep, or lifted the truck. Like, it added like 2 inches to the overall height, and it already sits really high. So but yeah, 2022 Ram Power Wagon has replaced the 2021 Jeep Rubicon 392 Extreme Recon. I did manage to take everything out of there with the exception of the lift kit. I had thought about replacing the lift kit with the original suspension. I knew the guy that I sold that to, and I was willing to buy it back from him just to get it completely back to stock and recoup some of the value of the parts I had, which you never really fully recoup all of it. But I did manage to get the winch out of it, the winch plate, all the stuff I had fabbed up, the rear plate system that I devised, the Vector off-road shelf, the Vector off-road e-dock, all my radios and stuff. It looked like none of that stuff was ever installed. I have a lot of those parts for sale on Facebook Marketplace. If you're interested, just look up Preston Kessinger. If you want to see the, I don't know if you can look up my parts by my name, but if you go on Facebook and find me, I can definitely point you to it. The winch and the winch plater have already sold. Those are like the first things to go. But everything else is on there, and everything's negotiable. So yeah, for those of you not familiar with the Ram Power Wagon, it's basically the heavy-duty truck version of a Jeep Rubicon. In fact, I'd call it the slower, fatter version of the Jeep Rubicon 392, and that is because they both have the 6.4 liter Hemi V8 engine. Now, the one that's in the 392 is said to be the car or SUV version of that engine with 470 horsepower and 470 pound-feet of torque. And this version is the truck version. It's got a few different components in it that kind of add to its longevity, and it's built more with towing and longevity in mind. It has 410 horsepower and 429 pound-feet of torque. And that's why I say it is the, because it has solid axles front and rear, 410 axle ratios front and rear with locking differentials, an electronic sway bar disconnect. It's got I believe a couple inches higher height than a standard 2500, and comes with Bilstein shocks. That hardware alone is basically what you get with the Rubicon, just in the Jeep form. And add on top of that, it has the 6.4 liter V8 engine. But this is designed first of all as a truck instead of first of all as an off-road vehicle. This is a heavy-duty truck with off-roading as an added bonus to it. So it is not going to go off-roading or wheeling or rock crawling the same way that a Jeep Rubicon would. But with that said, it can also take on a lot of trails in a lot harder, more difficult terrain than a standard heavy-duty 2500 can, and quite arguably better than a lot of off-road capable vehicles out there. I'd say the one thing that mainly hinders this thing off-road is its size, which is also its attributes, and also a reason that we like it. I mean, you get the giant 6'4" truck bed. That last time the one I had the Ram boxes. The first one I had didn't, but I'm kind of okay with this not having those. I really did like having the Ram boxes. I found them very functional and just carry a lot of everyday items in or gear. in a watertight, water-sealed compartment. But it also limited your bed rack options and options for what you can put in the bed. It basically covered the area that was over the wheel wells, but there's a lot of different options of stuff you can get for a bed of the standard 6-foot 4-inch bed on a Ram 2500, and all those apply here. Then, like I said, there's the ample room and comfort inside the cab. I mean, the Jeep pales in comparison to the level of comfort this has. I was okay with it. If it's just me traveling, I had no problem with the Jeep. I mean, maybe a little bit. My back is thanking me a little much. I'm not getting any younger. I'm 45 years old, and having the amount of support and just the elbow room and everything in this truck, I think my body is just thanking me. And it is nice. You sit up so high. I think this is higher. You sit higher than I was in my lifted Jeep. And that's just thanks to it already being such a very tall vehicle, having that extra spring height that they add on the Power Wagon, and now the 37-inch tires. So yeah, I mean, the main reasons I traded the 392, I really did not want to get rid of the 392 ever. It's just such a special vehicle. Even though values on them have kind of tanked, I saw quite a bit of depreciation in mine. Part of that's the miles I put on, and I put right at 30,000 miles in about a year and a half. I went from 16,000 to 45,000, and that's part of it. But also, the depreciation on it was about $20,000. But then again, I feel like I got a really good deal on this Power Wagon. This thing's MSRP originally was in the 70s, and I got this for right around 52, I think it was like 52.9 with 25,000 miles on it, a used 2022. I think that's a heck of a deal, actually. And but also to get the Rubicon 392 at what they're asking for that, I would have jumped on that years ago, but they didn't have inventory that had several years of age on them, so you couldn't get that back in the first couple years of the 392's release. And I feel like the 392 is the ultimate, but then again, it just adds to the Jeep. What you really love about this is having that torquey V8 engine, the added power. No, this can't accelerate like a Rubicon 392, but it's no slouch. I mean, it pulls this thing 0 to 60 maybe only a second or two slower than the V6 pulls. It might not even be that. It might be closer to about the same, especially once you lift a Rubicon JL with the V6. Pulls it to 0 to 60 about the same, and this is pulling around 7,500 pounds. Another thing that comes with that I should have mentioned, that the Ram Power Wagon comes standard with a worn Xeon 12S winch, 12,000 pound worn winch with synthetic rope that you can get on the Power Wagon. And you can now get on the Rebel, I believe. You can order it as an option, the 2500 Rebel. That kind of leads me to another thing that kind of planted this seed in my head. There's always something. I got to the point in the 392 where I thought, this is perfect. There's nothing else out there to really tempt me or to make me think, oh, I should trade. But there's always, it seems like something always comes up. But anyway, the future will hold the answer. But when I saw the Arctic expedition at Trail Recon and the Story Till Now, where Brad at Trail Recon had his Gladiator, also lifted on an AEV heavy duty kit, pulling his Patriot Campers trailer, and Sean at Story Till Now had a Ram 2500 Rebel that he outfitted for that trip. It had the big camper, I forget the name, Overland camper shell on top, with a AEV lift and 40-inch tires, which I don't think I'm going to be going anything like that. But when he mentioned how comfortable it was to take a 4,000 mile plus trip up there and back, that resonated with me, because I had owned a Power Wagon before, and I'm thinking, yeah, that's right. And I would like to do trips like that in the future. Maybe not to the Arctic Circle, but definitely longer distance trips. We live in South Central Texas. It's not exactly the off-roading or overlanding mecca of the universe, but I mean, we do have some stuff around here that you know, I've been able to find. You'll see it in my videos, but I would like to eventually, you know, go to the places out west, and that requires a lot of driving from here. Maybe not as much as some, since we're kind of located in the middle, south central part of the country, south central part of the United States, but eventually would, you know, this thing's gonna have to drive to get some of those places, and especially if I'm taking the family, this would definitely be more comfortable. And that kind of put that in my mind. Also, to see, you know, Brad pulling his trailer, came across a few issues on the trail due to, I think it was due to the fact that he's pulling a trailer and he's got the longer wheelbase Jeep Gladiator, and the overhang, the departure hanger on those, you know, I mean, that's going to hinder this one as well. But he seemed to have a worse time pulling a trailer than Sean did, just having a very well outfitted heavy duty Ram. So I did have the idea in my head, maybe I should combine the trailer and the Jeep into one, and that's what a power wagon could be. I could get a bigger rooftop tent, put the rack on here, and pretty much move all of this to the truck and have it all in one. Then I could sell this tent, have everything here, be roomier. Wouldn't quite fit the entire family, since you know, this can fit a bigger rooftop tent. They say they can fit 3 to 4 people. I'm not sure how comfortable that is. I'm not sure if my family would want to do that, but would be nice to have that. But I'm still torn. I really love this M1102 trailer. It's been so good, been so reliable. I haven't really done anything to this. I've just changed out the tires and wheels, changed the chains because they were too long or too short. For one of my, I think it was the Gladiator Mojave setup. So I changed that out, but actually it fits fine with the Power Wagon. But ultimately would like to have this as well as something here. Then I really could take our family of 4 pretty comfortably, you know, pretty much anywhere to go camping. I mean, we could go out. You're not going to go down as tight of trails in this as you could in a Jeep Wrangler, but, you know, or similar vehicle, but going to be able to go to a lot of places, a lot of off the beaten path places, you know, places you wouldn't just take a normal travel trailer or RV to. Now you could say, well, you could save up and get an off-road camping trailer, or an off-road fully enclosed camping trailer like some of the ones out there. But those are a lot bit pricier than what this is. In fact, that's kind of what prompted me to look at the M1102s, was just the price. And I was starting to think, wow, you can fix these up. I mean, some people build structures that fully enclose these, and you have a fully enclosed like travel trailer. But I mean, this has served me very good. Just would like to move up to a hard shell rooftop tent, because it does take a lot more to set up. Give you a brief little tour of the Power Wagon. You can see here it's got the full perforated leather seats, the embroidering. It doesn't have the 12-inch screen, but I'm okay with that. It's got the 8.4 U-Connect. And I had looked at getting a new Tradesman for a while, since the prices on those were pretty well discounted and pretty low. And you know, I had a 2014 Tradesman, but I mean, now with 2024, you get the 8-speed automatic instead of the 6-speed, and you get a lot of other, you know, just technology enhancements in the 10 years between those two. So I was like, wow, it's a really good truck for the money. But you know, I got this for less than what a lot of those are selling for, and it's much better equipped in my opinion. And I mean, you get LED headlights, LED taillights. You don't get that with the Tradesman. Just other comforts. So with the Tradesman, you're either gonna have to get cloth or the vinyl seats, which actually the vinyl seats I found to be pretty cool. I mean, they didn't breathe very well, but I like the fact that it was durable and it was meant for, you know, a working type of scenario. You know, it should be rugged and durable, be able to withstand, you know, whatever abuse you throw at it. But this doesn't have the giant center console. It does have the seat that folds up, and so you can actually physically fit somebody here. Some old Taco Bell there. But, and no, you're probably not going to have somebody sit there on a long trip, but In a pinch, you could fit 6 people in this, and they'll all have seat belts. So that's not something you can say, you know, in a Jeep or in perhaps a 4Runner. I don't know. I don't know if those have a 3rd row or not. You can see there, you still get your USB, your heated seats, the 110 volt plug. The tradesman didn't come with those on any package, at least from what I saw. And maybe there was a way to add that. You can order a tradesman 2500 Ram, put a Power Wagon package in, and add any other option you want. You can even add the 12-inch screen to it. But you know, you still can't add the LED headlights, which I think is kind of ridiculous this day and age. I mean, the LEDs are so much brighter and lighter. Well, as you can see, I've already added some things to the dash here. I've got my bullet point mounting solutions bracket that just screws right into the factory fasteners there, and 2 of the arms that I already had. I have my iPad Mini 4 and my magnetic mount for my iPhone. Let's just go ahead and start it up here. See, it's got the newer version of the Uconnect software. It doesn't have full surround camera, but does have a rear view and a cargo view, which I like. Android Auto, Apple CarPlay. It's taking a while to sync to my phone, but you see, what's really cool is you can add settings to different user profiles, and you know, my wife can have her user settings, and I've got mine on here. You can set like an avatar. You can store things like your seat, the memory, all based on the key fob if you want. You can see here my tire pressures are low. I've got the KM3s, which are a load range D instead of E. So their max pressure is equal to what this thing should be inflated to in the rear. And plus it's just such a harsh ride, so I have these set lower. I'm gonna have to get like another AEV ProCal to kind of correct that. You can see here we've got pitch and roll. Some features I didn't have on my older Power Wagons, but that came on the Jeep JLs, which is kind of nice. Fuel economy 8.9, that's kind of abysmal. It's averaging more than that, but I think the tires not being recalibrated is making a difference there. I do like that it has the physical gauges and not just a screen. The 2023 and newer, I think, has just a fully digital screen, which I've had in vehicles in the past. I had in my 2019 Mustang GT, but I do kind of like having physical gauges, you know, just so you can, you know, see things. I don't know, just feels more connected to me. Just ample room. Here's your controls for your front and rear lockers. You can disconnect or unlock all of them with a push of a button. You got a sway bar disconnect and the hill descent control button. And this one came with a trailer brake control, which I like. That's one thing that was hit or miss in the tradesman Power Wagons. And I kind of like having, you know, instead of the 12-inch display, having actual physical buttons down here, as well as you can control a lot of this from in the screen. But I think that is kind of nice. You got tow haul mode. You can turn your front and rear parking sensors off. You have your USBs A and C down here, and a 110 volt outlet here, as well as the one in the seat behind. And also in the bed, there's a 110 volt outlet as well. You got 3 large cup holders up here. Got the storage here. What's even cool is this one has a little secret cubby underneath right there. That's just like the perfect size to like hide a firearm, in my opinion. Here's the manual shifter. If you get the one with the full console here, then the 4-wheel drive turns into a button, which I'm sure it works just fine, but I really like having the physical shifter. You can shift into 4 high. You could hear it actuate there. So I wonder if it is just an electronic switch still that works probably the same way. But on the door here, you got your memories, 1 and 2, and the S for save. auto up and down. Your mirrors, you have, this isn't the newer one, has a little bit larger mirror, but this one worked fine for my needs in the 2020 that I had. You got one convex mirror that you can see more of your blind spot, and the regular mirror. There it is on the other side. But yeah, it's a compartment there as well as down here. Just room for days. Oh, you also have a cup holder down in the door right there, and that's nice. And there's even more in the back seat. On the back seat, first off, this didn't come with any floor mats. I don't know why, but you have floor storage on both sides. That's really nice. I like to put things like gloves or tow straps, the power cable for the winch. You have 2 cup holders there and 2 right here, and then, you know, armrest for your rear passengers. This one's got the rear sliding door. The tradesmen were hit or miss whether they had those. And if this isn't enough room to store or to pull things or to bring things in the cab, you also have these platforms that fold out on both sides. Let's see this one, the trim piece is off, but provides a really nice flat surface and ample room if you're carrying like a bunch of boxes, or, you know, you could put like a portable fridge or cooler back here even, and it'll be perfectly flat. Instead of sitting on the inclined seats, you can have them sit here towed away flat. And once again, there's your USB, only USB-A on this setup, your heated seat button, and the 110 volt outlet. The most noticeable thing when I first drove it was the lack of sound, lack of exhaust. Now my white 2020 had an aftermarket exhaust on it, so it already sounded almost like a Rubicon 392, only deeper. I don't know if it has anything to do with the exhaust or maybe the engine. A few months ago, when I had my friend Brett out at Hidden Falls with his red Power Wagon. Driver more. Right, that thing has like an aftermarket or straight pipe exhaust, and comparing that to the Rubicon 392, it was a lot deeper tone. The 392 was more raspy. But I still like the way the 392 sounds. It's still deep, just a little bit more rasp to it. But I mean, this thing drives basically like a large heavy-duty truck, except the suspension's soft. It feels like you're riding on air. Also depends on the amount of air you put in your tires. When I test drove it with the 33s, they were quite stiff because they were all the way up to 60, 65 PSI. And I was thinking, unless you're fully loaded down, you probably don't need to be, you know, have it aired up that much. I don't know. But at least for comfort. I mean, a lot of people that drive 3500 heavy duty trucks, this with leaf springs, this will feel phenomenally soft. And that's why, you know, people ask me all the time, does the AEV heavy duty high capacity springs, how does it ride? Is it too harsh? I'm like, maybe it is compared to some softer off-road lift kits out there, but not if you're comparing it to, say, a heavy duty truck with lift springs or with leaf springs. It's definitely nowhere near that hard. And it was perfectly daily drivable. So if you're worried about that, I mean, if you want the absolute softest ride, then no. I mean, at that point, you probably don't care about it sagging when you add too much weight to it, because you're not doing that type of thing. And if you do, being able to resolve that will outweigh having the plushest ride. It still rides great. This being a heavy duty truck, I mean, it can't tow as much as the standard 2500 due to the off-road suspension, but it still can tow 10,000 pounds. And depending on how it's configured, you have a really decent payload capacity. But just in-town driving, it drives nice. It's so roomy, comfortable. Everything is ergonomically correct in one of these things. I mean, other than the tire noise from the 37s and the AC, the cabin it's so quiet. It's so well insulated. In fact, these 37s seem louder on this vehicle than they did on the 392, and I think that's because this is more insulated. So all you're hearing is the tire noise that's going through the suspension and into the body and the frame. Whereas on the 392, you had a whole bunch of other sounds. I mean, it was a Jeep, so it's inherently louder with a fiberglass top. It's shaped like a box, so there's a lot more wind noise, and you heard a lot more of that and the exhaust. So that kind of drowned out the mud terrain tire noise. Whereas in this, you don't have all that. You're able to have a conversation a lot easier in this. Not that I couldn't do them in the 392, it was fine. It's just, this is much more refined in a way. I just wanted to mention real quick, I am running these 37s on the factory Ram Power Wagon wheels. I'm not using any spacers or anything. I do get just a little bit of rubbing, but it's on the radius control arm on one of the bolts. The tire will touch it if it's turned all the way to driver's side. And I think it does the same thing on the other side when turning it passenger. But other than that, I haven't had any rubbing anywhere else. So far, I haven't had it off-road either. I do need to address that, either get some wheels with the proper offset or back spacing, or address it with something like wheel spacers. I would prefer to do an actual wheel, but I've had no problems in the past using wheel spacers, even when off-roading and off-roading pretty hard. Another issue might be that the brake calipers are quite large on these, and they get really close to the inside of that wheel. So whatever wheel you do get, you probably can't use the tape weights on the inside or the vehicle side of the rim. You have to use the little hammer-on weights on the lip for that side, but the outer edge you can use the tape weights. But I'm really liking these 37s on here. Really makes the truck look so much more aggressive. Well guys, that's gonna wrap it up for this quick video. Just wanted to give you guys an update on the vehicle situation, what's happening with the Jeep, and introduce you guys to the 2022 Ram Power Wagon. The adventure will continue. It'll just be in a different vehicle. I've come to find that once you're out there exploring, enjoying the great outdoors, it really doesn't matter what the vehicle is. It's just the fact that it got you out there. It got you to get out, do something, get away from being plugged in, and you'll never find better value in any vehicle owned than when you go out and actually use it. So on that note, stay tuned to the next episode where we take the Ram Power Wagon out, see what it can do off-road, and you'll be seeing it on upcoming adventures. Take care, don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.